This is as close as we can get to the base of the World Trade Center. You can see the firemen assembled here, the police officers, FBI agents, and you can see the two towers. A huge explosion now raining debris on all of us. We better get out of the way.
There was a heavy-duty explosion.
And then all of a sudden, three big explosions. And the explosion blew and it knocked everybody over.
There was a third explosion.
Then there was secondary explosions and then subsequent collapses.
We've heard reports of secondary explosions after the aircraft impacted.
Take down a building. Top floors collapsed down. I saw it blow and then ran like hell. Thank God. I'm 69, but I can still run.
The streets of the financial district covered with debris, in some cases ankle deep. Cars on fire, cars just turned by the force of the explosions.
All of lower Manhattan, not just this site, from river to river, there was dust, powder, 2-3 inches thick. The concrete was just pulverized.
You have 2 110-story office buildings. You don't find a desk. You don't find a chair. You don't find a telephone, a computer. The biggest piece of a telephone I found was half of the keypad, and it was about this big.
So we have a real issue of mechanism as far as what in the process of this collapse could cause so many things to be pulverized so finely.
Insofar as there is an official story as to why the towers collapsed, it is the pancake theory, according to which the floors above the destruction caused by the airplanes collapsed on the floor below, and then those floors collapsed on the floor below that, and then it pancaked all the way down. Even if this theory were remotely plausible, can you imagine it pancaking at free fall speed?
Then suddenly 7 went down. The crowd started running north again, trying to escape the dust cloud and the falling debris.
It knocked everybody over.
There was a third explosion.
I remember getting a call from the fire department commander telling me that they were not sure they were going to be able to contain the fire. And I said, you know, we've had such terrible loss of life. Maybe the smartest thing to do is pull it. And they made that decision to pull, and then we watched the building collapse.
Turns out the BBC announced the collapse 20 minutes before it happened. Here is the BBC reporter announcing the 47-story Solomon Brothers building close to the World Trade Center has also collapsed. This was announced 20 minutes prior, and here's the building right here, still up in the air.
In America, we are fed propaganda, and if you want to know what's happening in the world, go outside of the U.S. media, because it's owned by 4 corporations. One of them is this one. And you know what? Go outside of the country to find out what's going on in our own country, because it's frightening.
The question I pose, what don't we know and why don't we know it, is sort of addressing the fact that at this point we still do not really have a meaningful explanation for what happened to the buildings.
We've had some small windows into what we thought was the core at some point, and it looked like an oven. You know, it was just roaring inside. And it was just a bright reddish orange color.
You'd get down below and you'd see molten steel running down the channel rails.
Molten iron is the product of the incendiary thermite, a cutter charge which is used in many controlled demolitions.
By analyzing this, we determined it is not molten aluminum from the plane. Okay. Indeed, it contains a great deal of iron, which is the product of the thermite reaction. This carries with it evidence. How was this done? What was used? This chain of events leads me to reluctantly conclude that indeed there does seem to be insider.
Actor Charlie Sheen's startling claims that the government may be covering up what really happened on September 11th.
In or around the fateful day, it just raises a lot of questions.
So many emails coming in. We've been really overwhelmed today. Between the emails, the blogs, the websites, everybody is writing and talking about it.
And the coverage on Showbiz Tonight is getting a lot of attention. The website 9/11 Blogger calls Showbiz Tonight's coverage, quote, the first time a major news station has covered 9/11 questions in any reasonable format.
There was a heavy-duty explosion.
And then all of a sudden, 3 big explosions. And the explosion blew and it knocked everybody over.
There was a third explosion.